Welcome to Contractor's Corner. I'm Adrian Park. With me today, System Whisperer, Roofer, Jay Carter. I'm all right. So we're gonna start today, Jay. We're gonna do. Oh wait, no, hold on. That's not what I wanted.
Oh no, not this again. Don't you do it 2 weeks in a row.
We're gonna do contractor math. All right.
Right. Contractor math.
Contractor math. Not any other math. Just contractor math.
And for anyone that's listening in that was upset, I apologize for saying the wrong words last week. And we've taken your feedback and we won't say the words anymore.
We won't say the words. We're just gonna show the TikToks. Okay, so you can see my screen, yeah. So this is one of my TikTok accounts, and these are a bunch of saved TikToks from a something math account, which is funny and clever. And so here's a couple of the ones that I think are the funniest. And let's see if I can get this going. Can you hear this? Can you hear that?
Yep.
Jay, okay, here we go. This one's short.
I want two boyfriends. I want two boyfriends.
My mother.
I want two boyfriends. I want two boyfriends.
My mother, why haven't you found a girl yet? The girls.
Yeah.
I want two boyfriends.
Okay. Here's one.
I think I'm going to start talking to men the way I talk to my preschool students.
No, thank you, friend. No, thank you. You can either be nice to me or be single. Make a good choice.
That's how we should talk to women about politics. You cannot have equal money and men have more. You cannot have... It does not work that way.
I think I'm going to start talking.
And for anybody watching, this guy isn't a misogynist. He takes the other side just as much as he's makes fun. This one's good.
Seeing a trend of women dating down, which means, you know, a man who...
So it looks like women are getting victimized again. Women are having to date down because there are no good men left. Let's talk about why. So usually, men make more than women, which is not fair. Let's not talk about why. We'll just assume it's oppression. So to combat this oppression, we need the government to make laws so that women can make an equal amount of money, which is fair. And once women are making an equal amount of money, now men who make less than them are fucking losers. Women are getting educated and they have standards, so they're not gonna date down. She needs a man who makes more money than her, which is not fair.
Oh my god.
The death loop.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, a couple more.
Stop falling for the I went through a 304 phase. There's no such thing.
I love honest women. She's giving away the whole game. She says that if a girl went through a hoe phase, she's probably just a hoe, and I'm rating that mostly hoe. I use this diagram a lot. You can download it on my link tree right now. And the other day I pointed out there was a video of a girl who wanted to keep her boyfriend and her side guy loyal. And I pointed out that this is most likely a mental limitation and not an evil behavior. She just can't really conceive of the needs of others. And when you're an adult, it's very difficult to change and grow up these levels. So I evaluated her as not fixable. With behaviors like that, or like this, you can tell people what to change, but you can't make them want to. I'm going to tell you a little story.
Okay. And then just two more here.
What's good money?
Pull up your account.
My phone is dead.
Okay.
What is good?
Until you can pull up your account, then...
Well, give us an idea. Why does it have to be about me? Is a couple million enough? Is a couple million enough?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
There's more to that, but I don't want to get us in trouble. All right. And a couple
Do the
more that are
contractor
actually
ones.
for contractors. Yeah, here's one that's not really for contractors, but it's for contractors.
This weekend safety brief. Don't add to the population. Don't subtract from the population. Don't end up in the hospital, newspaper, or jail. If you end up in jail, establish dominance quickly. Have a good weekend.
Perfect.
If you end up in jail, establish dominance quickly. Okay, and then this one, which has 11 million views, and you're going to see
I like
why.
the Hilti
maybe.
one too.
Which one is? Oh, this one right here.
Yeah, that's
No.
a good one. But
Yeah, that is actually a good one. Okay,
yeah,
here we
this
go.
one's good. All right.
All right.
That's what happens when you teach a coworker how to drive a front end. Who's a big boy? Who's a great big boy? That's what happens when you teach a coworker how to drive a front end. Who's a big boy? Who's a great big boy?
Oh my god.
That's good. That's good.
Okay, so whew.
I'd love to see how you're going to tie this into closing sales.
Okay, well, it's our segment's called Contractor Math, Jay.
That's true.
And
That's
so,
true.
oh, by the way, hold on. Before we get on to Contractor Math, you didn't even ask about my amazing shirt.
Do I have to? I mean, it's great.
Well, you
like you just it's a full stop for me. Just like, again, if it was a little off, I might say something, but I was like, nope, totally appropriate. I love it.
It's so, I mean, but it's more than just, it's not just a crazy Hawaiian shirt. I'm going to try to figure out how I can do this with this camera. So, which is my computer. So this is a Taylor Swift.
Oh,
all over with Taylor Swift's
you just need some kitties in there.
album covers. What? So here we go. So it's like there's Red, there's 1989. What are the other ones?
For the sake of not offending anybody, I have no idea what those are. Are those her albums?
These are yeah. Okay. Yeah, they're so these are like album covers and like
I got it. Yeah.
Like there's 1999, which she just re-released. I'm not pitching for Taylor Swift, not that she needs us to, but anyway, okay. So and the reason why I'm wearing this very cool Taylor Swift Hawaiian shirt, which is totally, by the way, I'm sure breaking like 1,000 trademarks and licenses because it didn't come from her website. Sorry. Is that some friends of mine, ours, are coming into town this weekend, and we're actually going to her Eras tour, not the show, but the movie. So so I got my Taylor Swift, and it literally just came today, and I was like, I wrote them and I was like, okay, this needs to be here by Friday or I will have to return it. So I'm very
That's
excited.
a dedicated fan. I didn't know you were such
I'm
a fanboy.
Well, so we're Swifties.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
And for those that are watching that are also Swifties,
Mm.
you know the deal. So, okay. Back to contractor math. So, contractor math, like math we were just watching, is I've got a couple, and maybe you have a couple yourself. Driving a $90,000 truck, which, let's just be honest, a lot of us do that. Driving a $90,000 truck, but not having an extra saw on site.
Mhm.
And when that saw inevitably breaks, sending a skilled man that makes $50 an hour to chase a replacement.
Hmm?
By the way, this is not from my personal experience or anyone that I know. These are just random things that I pulled from the internet. All right. Number 2, complaining about not having enough job leads, but not following up on your bids. And I don't mean from like months ago. I mean from like 3 or 4 weeks ago. Spending $10K a month on direct mailers while having literally thousands of customers' contact information and doing absolutely nothing with it. Getting raked over the coals. And when I say raked over the coals, that's That's PG speak for getting effed by a customer, typically like another contractor, losing tens of thousands or more on a job, and then bidding to them again on the next one.
I see that lots of times. Yep.
And getting killed again. So that's my contractor math for the week.
I've got one. I've got one.
Okay, please.
So being so busy
Yeah.
that you have no time for friends, family, and you know you're screwing up, right? But
Right.
not willing to do anything about it or get anyone to help you not be so busy.
Just putting your
Just
head
keep,
down.
yeah, just continue to
and
be busy,
just-
not making money, but then not willing to get any help to fix the problem of why you're so busy, or hire anyone to help you not be so busy. So you're kind of on the hamster wheel, but you don't have time. It really doesn't make sense. I'm not making any money and I'm losing money every day, but I have no time
Right.
to talk to anyone that can fix it for me. Yeah.
Right. I'm
too busy
so
to stop losing money.
that
I'm
is
losing money.
contractor math, right?
Yes.
I'm getting your ass handed to you, right? Job after job, and having and your personal life is just absolutely like it's just a dumpster fire. But I don't have any. But I'm sorry, I don't have the time. I don't have time.
I would love
I don't
to
have
share
time. I got
a
a bid job.
screenshot of a conversation I had just like that, where at the exact moment when he realized how stupid he sounded, and it was in a DM script, and I kept questioning him like, so and I won't for privacy reasons, but I was like, hey, like, I understand. He's like, no, he gives me his full laundry list of problems, and like I hadn't even responded to him yet, and I get this big long chat. Oh, I need help. I need all this stuff. I was like, cool. I'm like, can you schedule a call on Thursday? He's like, no, man. He's like, I'm way too busy. I'm like, all right. So I just responded, okay. Let me know in the next few months when you're available. And he was like, are you being sarcastic? And I was like, yes, I am.
Yeah.
I'm like, perfect. I'm like, remain on the hamster wheel then. And he got it. And yeah, we actually had a call and a good laugh about it, because he was literally like doing exactly what he was complaining about. And he's like, yeah, it was priceless. One of those moments. You don't get a lot of expression through DMs or chats, but you know, when you both connect on the same thing, and you can imagine the other person laughing at the same time about the stupidity of the conversation.
Right. And just, you know, and again, we're not like, you know, I mean, we're talking about other people. I mean, some of my contractor math, you know, this week, I mean, some of those are from other folks. Some of those are from my own stupidity, like my own dumb mistakes. And just, you know, if there's anybody watching us right now or on the replay and you're like, man, you guys are judgmental, you're a-holes. Well, no, because like I don't think I've made all of the mistakes, but I sure tried my best to. Like, I didn't make all the mistakes, but buddy, I came really close. So, you know, so we joke about these things because, you know, we've been there, you know, I mean, and,
Absolutely.
you know, it wasn't funny at the time, you know, we weren't laughing at the time, but we can laugh now. So, Jay, we're talking about closing sales and like strategies to close sales. And so I'm going to maybe like kind of like I'll start us off, and maybe obviously I know you've got a lot to say about this. So I feel like there are. So even though I've sold a lot of stuff, right? So I sold millions in just in a very short period of time. I sold a lot of work, good work, high quality work. And, you know, I don't think of myself as a closer.
Okay.
I think of myself as, I think my strength is in, and I think this is a lot of people, and that's why I'm saying this. So I think my strengths are in the fact that, one, I connect with people because I want to connect with people. Two, I generally have a higher competency. So I'm, fancy way of saying I'm good at, pretty good at what I do. And I know we're going to over deliver. And then 3, I just follow up like crazy. So I don't think that, and I'm saying that because I think that, my feeling is that other guys and ladies are, they're good at their thing, right? Whether they're, concrete or masonry or roofing like you, or carpentry or whatever, they're good at their trade. But, it's like, it seems unfair to, we're expected as small business owners to, not really expected by other people, but like we sort of to survive, we have to be good at a lot of different things. And so at the same time, it's frankly unfair because some people aren't ever going to be great closers. So that's my sort of like, so there's my curveball. Yeah. How can we help contractors that are, again, like me, because there are some people that are incredible. Like you put them at the table and they will get somebody across the finish line. Right. And we've seen all those guys online, and I don't think of myself as that person. However, in spite of that, again, like I've sold, bunch of work. And so like, what's
two things. Yeah. So
how can we help folks?
All right. So I think we have to first of all take the stigma away from sales. Okay. So when most people say sales, they immediately imagine a car salesman. Okay. And I know that's what comes to my mind. When we think of that, and we're already, telling ourselves that I don't want to be, X, Y, because let's be honest, nobody likes to be sold to. And it's even harder nowadays. And we're in the post-trust era where no one trusts anybody. So really what we need to do is, it starts with understanding that you don't have to be the traditional car salesman. Okay. And in fact, all sales is leadership. Okay. So remove the idea that you have to be a closer and a fast talker or anything else like that, and replace it with, I need to be a good leader. I need to lead my customers to good solutions that I know I can provide. And you just mentioned it. You were really confident, and you were that. What do you think people want? Do they want to be sold something by somebody that's unsure, or that they can see through, or that's going to, have these magic words? And let me be honest with you. The time that it takes, and what a good closer knows and understands, is all he's doing, or she is leading the customer to a solution and helping them make a decision. Okay. So if we think of it that way first, and we design a sales process around leadership versus, getting the sale, or, having, slick words, or making like crazy offers, all that stuff. If we just get down to the bare fundamentals, okay, it's much more easier to grasp. All right. Now, another decision has to be made at a certain point. I think a lot of contractors don't understand the difference between a sale and taking an order. Okay. So a sale is something that you're going to sell that's above, your commodity rate or commodity price. Okay. So this is where we're getting into a range where people are paying for a professional that's willing to pay more than what, again, the average sale is going to be. That's when we get into true sales. Okay. Now, if you're at industry standard, you're the middle of the pack, there's not a lot of sales that's required. What's going to sell your job is all the things that happen before and after you take that call. So you can, and we're seeing this more and more. Okay. So, and I want to give you guys a little bit of insight on this that I feel is really important. First of all, it all starts with knowing your customer. Okay. And knowing the gap that exists between what you offer and what the rest of the market offer, differentiating yourselves. All right. Going in with that first, all right, will help you to identify opportunities. So for example, a millennial, you don't sell to a millennial. All right. In most cases. Okay. Hard sales. Can you explain that? Yeah, absolutely. So hard in-house sales, okay, have been steadily declining. All right. Now they're still done a lot. Guys going out and using the tactics and the strategies. There's a whole bunch of them out there. Tons of sales systems, tons of that. and trying to get them basically to high pressure close on the site, or a combination of. Okay, what we're finding, and our data is clearly showing, all right, and I've explained this to you before, the baby boomers, Gen Xers, all right, they want you to work for an opportunity. So their idea of you working is coming out and seeing them, meeting face to face. They want to build a relationship, all of those things. So if you're reading into that properly, it's opportunity after you do the work. Okay, so you do work first, then I give you opportunity. Okay.
Right.
Now, what's happened is a giant shift, and again, for guys that are millennials or into that age group, you'll understand. Like, we were all told to go to school and all this stuff, so a lot of this has led to the post-trust era, where we don't really trust anybody, and we know what a sale is. Okay, baby boomers do too, but again, it's they want to meet face to face. Now we're heading into this brand new market, and where the millennials are becoming the major purchasers. The thing is, their value system is different. Okay, so the value system they have is opportunity first, then I'll give you the business. All right. So presenting your quote, the experience you give them getting the quote, was it easy? Was it hard? Like, did I have to jump through hoops? I just want the quote. I want validation. I want to get this thing done, and I'm really busy. Did you fit properly into that, that process? Are you able to educate me without boring me? Right? Without taking a lot of my time, without, I've already done my research. Again, most of these decisions are being made very quick. They're being made through reviews and referrals. If they're calling you, you're on a short list. Okay. I already know that. And ask them, hey, you know what? I can offer you two things here, right? If you're just looking for a price, XYZ, you vet them out, make sure that it's a good fit, but they're going to want their quote before they meet you on site. And that's just a matter of fact. Okay. That is the data points that we're seeing. Don't be resistant to that. You can run a very successful business, just order taking. All right. If your business involves a lot of detail and you're doing remodeling, maybe not the right process, but I'm talking more single trades. We're seeing that pattern show up a lot. And my point to that is, again, what's going to win the game for you there is more the sales process than the salesperson. Okay. So hear me out on this. Sales process, not salesperson. Does that mean you can't have a sales? No, it doesn't mean. We will continue to have salespeople into the future. Their jobs are going to be protected, because at the end of the day, we're still in a people to people business. Okay. We can never forget that. Until robots completely replace us and robots are making deals on behalf of other robots, all right, people will still need to meet you, need to see you, need to see your face. Okay. So how do we go about creating a sales process that doesn't involve a heavy traditional salesperson? And I'm going to give you kind of the formula for that. Number one, the personality of the business should be seen in social media platforms. Okay. We should be educating. We should be sharing our values in the places where our customers are going to check those references. Okay. So Google, all these other places, you need to be like, it's really becoming, very obvious nowadays that you need to have somebody that's creating content for you that tells your story, educates your customer, all right, allows them to feel comfortable. Because think about it. If they've already done 4 to 6 hours of research on you, right, or on the thing they're looking to buy, and you have that available to them, it makes it so much easier for them to just say, yeah, let's go ahead with that. Now, assume again, no salesperson involved. Okay. Now, where I'm going to really, turn the heat up on this one is that's not just going to be enough. We're going to also have to continue that message through the contact points that we have with that client. Okay. So where does the contact or touch point start? At the first hello. How were they greeted? Who called them back? How quickly did we contact them back? Were they able to immediately get what they were asking for? Did it take some time to vet that out? Did we provide them with a detailed quote? All these things start to come up? And it's really important to think about, because we know the future of sales is going to involve a lot more process, right? Technology and everything else that's involved, and speed and convenience. Okay. If you're building a sales process around more, hard in-home sales, you're going to start to see a significant decline in that, people just not wanting that, to happen. And it's already happening. Now, again, you could still run a very successful contracting business by doing the in-home thing. And I'm going to talk to that group in a second. But again, I'm talking for the guys that are looking for it. And I feel like right now you could have a really nice hybrid. I know we do. We send out quotes. Our quotes do a lot of the sales heavy lifting, but we follow up. We do not miss on the follow-up. We do not miss on the, the nurturing and the sequencing. And guys, here's what I want to really kind of drive home. It doesn't take any more work. There's not a lot more work. It's very much into automation and into sequencing. Now, there still has to be a person that is, again, in our process, we haven't eliminated the person entirely. We don't feel that's wise yet. There's still follow-up calls. There's, like, we don't have anybody that's like an AI that can have a chat with the client yet. That does not excuse me from being a human being and still reaching out to somebody that I want to do, many thousands of dollars in business with. But what it does do is it makes sure no balls gets dropped, no questions go unanswered, nobody leaves our sales funnel not feeling like we delivered our first promise, and that was to provide them with a quote and a consultation of our service. So if we can feel really great about that, and again, I shared this last week, a lot of people give us referrals that didn't go ahead with their quote. What does that tell you?
Yeah.
What's that tell you, right?
Because you have a great process, yeah.
Right. And I understand that, again, it's a multiplying effect, right? So, your lead to your marketing qualified sale to your sales qualified, right? To a sale, to referral and reviews, like all of that is it's a combination. And when they're going through your sales process, the more you've really dialed in on that customer's wants, needs, desires, and understand them, the less people need to be involved for you to make that conversion. So there will come a time where you're going to convert. And I know a good portion of our quotes nowadays are starting to convert without ever meeting the client, which is exciting. Wow. A good portion of them, I'm saying like 15 to 20% do go. Wow. Or in the other way, I've got one sales rep that's managing, multi-million dollars, and sales reps now doing $7-8 million worth of sales is totally realistic with a small two-person team. Okay, so that's the benefit here, and that's the trade-off. Now for B2B, same thing goes, in-house, out-house sales. Okay, I'm a big fan of this system. I really, encourage anybody that is scaling their business to consider it. You have somebody that's in-house, that's, setting appointments, that's building relationships, that's reaching out back to clients, that's doing the things to get the closer in front of the client more often. Okay. And again, this is going to pay off huge, because now you can have one person that completely understands the process and that runs the administrative part of the quoting, the pricing, but doesn't get seen by the customer. And then you have somebody that's an absolute killer that gets out to site in front of the client and now closes that deal. And we're going to see more of a shift that way, because again, the numbers add up. So before, what would take a salesman, and by the way, guys, for all my salesmen that are listening up there, I love you to death, but, and I'm very much a salesman, but generally not organized. Details are, escape them. They're looking at the bigger picture. Having someone administrative that's catching those, those details, making sure contracts are clear, like making sure all the little things are done, allows them to do what they're best at doing. So this is really about understanding the yin and the yang of good sales. Now, again, for my older sales reps out there, this is absolutely crazy. And I know it's shocking. It's cool. You can do it both ways. I'm just giving suggestions here, right? So that's a really good example of what we're using. Okay. So my quotes are done by a team, right? Our outreach and our in-house sales is done by one person. All right. That's setting our closer up for appointments that they're going on, and they're focused on closing deals. So when you have somebody that's entirely focused and that's their entire job, you will see a dramatic increase in your sales. All right. But more importantly, what you have to understand, if you're teaching your team and you have good core values in your company, you're also setting up a better client experience, because now we're paying more attention to the things that are very valuable. All right. How do we make our clients feel? What's their experience like? Did we practice leadership in the sale, or are we just trying to sell them shit like everybody else, right? If you go in with that mindset of, I'm not here to sell you anything. In fact, I have nothing to sell you. All right. I'm here to lead you to a potential solution. If my solution doesn't fit, I'm not going to offer it to you. And that's perfectly okay. Right. Yeah. It changes the expectation you have of yourself. Okay. And I think a lot of what happens is, and contractors especially are famous for this. I've seen a lot of contractors that could fully go out and work for customers directly, drywallers, flooring guys, but they stay stuck with the builders because they got this, this magical idea of what a salesperson, like, this is a fast talking slick guy. And I want to draw some light to this. You can very well get by just being a normal dude saying normal things. If you know about leadership, don't forget the scripts, forget the tricks, the ticks, like forget that. Okay. Learn to just lead your customer to the solution that's going to fit their problem. All right. And then let the sales process part help to close the deals, the ones that maybe you weren't, hard on, because you put so much pressure on yourself of closing that deal on the spot that you literally forget all the important things. Like, guys, 30-40% of your deals will close on the spot. If you're a closer, what happens to the rest of the 60%? You're going to close them over time, right? As long as you don't give up on that lead and you have a system to follow back up and re-engage and, keep them involved, they're going to come back to you. You know why? Because people appreciate that. That's being human. All right. As long as that the intent behind it is, like I've said, is to lead them to a solution, even if it's not your solution. If you've helped them solve a problem, okay, it's a win-win. And guess what? They'll refer you. Like, just because somebody didn't go with you doesn't mean they're an enemy now. Okay. And this is the stuff we have to get over. This is the stuff we have to get out of our minds. And it's also what's creating the anxiety of being a salesperson. Okay. I don't want to sell anything. Okay, great. I don't suggest anybody does. You know why? Because a salesperson, like a car salesman, they get as far as no and they stop. All right. A closer or a closing sales process starts at no. Okay. So hear me out on that. Like, listen to what I said very carefully. So a good sales process and a good closer starts at the word no. Expect no. I go in assuming no. And all that means to me is I've still got a little bit more work here in helping them make a decision. All right. And my leadership leading them to that point, because that's just them telling me, hey, I'm not comfortable yet. Can you explain a little bit more? Yes, absolutely. That's what I'm here for. So it makes it very easy to remove that anxiety of selling. All right. Because when you think about the sale and closing them and collecting money and stuff like that, you got to remember that that's a below the line objective. Okay. And people will sense that from you and they won't feel confident or comfortable in you. And no matter what you say, all right, you've played your card. If you go in with the mindset of, hey, you know what? I'm not a salesperson. I don't know how to sell. Perfect.
Right.
Excellent. But I'm a great leader. I lead my teams. I lead my company. I believe in the product. I believe in my service. I know I'm going to deliver a great deal, like a great, service to my client. I'm really confident that my company can deliver what I promised. Right. And be clear about that promise. Be clear with your customer. Hey, I don't do this, but I do this perfectly. Like, own it. And you will see that you don't need any closing tactics, strategies, and then just simply follow up. And it could be, and we were laughing about this, I think you and I, but the most efficient follow-up email when I've let customers fallen out of touch, or the ones that have got away, the ones at a year, simple 9-word email. Right. I cannot find anything else that has worked as good or better. And in my clients' cases too, we had a live, I think it was yesterday, right? That person responded. Of course they did, right?
Of course they did.
One person, I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm going to prove how I will extract and get people back on your side. And again, now we're having conversations and it's like, wow, those opportunities were right there for you to do it. But you're so focused on finding new ones, shiny objects, that you forget about all the people that have already spent time and made effort with you.
Well, I think too, Jay, it's, we feel like we put these labels on things, that person's a closer, that person's a salesperson. And those are, accurate to a point. But I think so. I'm thinking of a couple people that I know that are literally at job sites right down the street. And like one guy in particular that I did a lot of work with, he's said I can't sell. I'm not a salesperson.
Okay.
But I've watched this same person do a punch out, punchless walk around and literally sell every completion that wasn't necessarily a completion, right? And sell change orders to the guy he was working for and not realize he sold a bunch of change orders, right? Like,
well,
when,
and
in
it's
the,
just
during the
it comes
punchless walk around. I mean, and all it is, I was going to say, is that, so I think if we just replaced that, like, selling with, like, being certain, like,
being
because,
confident,
certain or
being a good
confident,
leader.
because, one of my favorite things that I heard Tony Robbins say when I first started following his work was that when two people meet, the person who is more certain will generally influence the other person. And to your point, like, that was that, and other things that I've kind of picked up in the last several years have given me a lot of certainty or confidence when because again, I've never thought of myself as like a closer salesperson. At the same time, I sold, a lot of stuff. So a lot of work, sold other things. So, it's now, like, today, I think, well, whatever I'm doing, whatever the mission is, like, if I'm actually selling a product or service, or if I'm just, like, communicating with people, like, I'm going to get as certain as I can, right? I'm going to get myself certain, because whatever situation I'm going into, whatever interaction that is, even like with my kids, or, like with people or friends that are looking for advice, like, getting into sort of a mindset or a state of certainty, like, is a game changer. And then you're not selling, you're just certain about that thing, right?
Right.
So I think I think we can just, like, demystify it. Like, it's not this magical thing. Who you're a salesperson. Like, if you get certain, you're going to influence another person. If you're the person that's certain, it has more certainty.
Absolutely. And I think, we're at the time and place now where we really should put different expectations on this role. Okay. Because I see too many contractors cutting themselves short and really putting their own roadblock in, because they have a false idea of what sales is. Okay.
Right.
They have a false idea of what a salesperson does. My daughter just busted in.
I love it.
So cute. So I think the first part to this, solution is actually coming up and, understanding that you don't have to be a traditional salesperson. Give me 1 second here. Let me grab
you
her.
don't have to be. And while you're doing that, Jay, I'm just going to say that I think, my follow on to the certainty conversation is that, like, this is really, really, really great news and it's not just, for everybody. If you own or operate a business, small business, middle market, whatever, like, it's great news to know that, like, because I remember, coming up the way in the sort of the way I did, the industries I did, like, for years, for most of my career, I thought I've got to be a better closer, and today it's so liberating to know, what, I don't ever have to be one of those guys. All I have to do is, whenever I interact with someone, I'm going to get as certain as I can, and I'm just going to follow a process. And then the other little, like, thing that I practice personally is, and I think I've shared this before, the 4 S's, which is some will, some won't, so what, someone's waiting. Like, it's not personal, right? If somebody doesn't sign a contract with me, it's not personal. They didn't, it's not because, like,
not being
they
rejected.
they don't, it's not because they don't like me, or they don't, they might have a problem with the company or whatever, but it's not personal. They don't know me personally. They don't know me as a, as a father or a friend, or, you know what I mean? So it's like, I couldn't take it personally if I wanted to. So I think that, like, kind of like, again, like, shedding some of those, those things that we traditionally, like, think of as it's got to be this way. And, like, again, so if I'm a roofer, or I'm a carpenter, or a masonry guy, like, I don't need to be a closer, right? If I just have a level of confidence and I follow a process, I can crush.
Absolutely. And
Yes.
again, absolutely 100%. So, and here's the other side of it. Okay. I know for a fact, I know this for an absolute fact, and I've seen it at scale. I've seen it not just in my own business. I get the privilege of looking inside and under the hood of many businesses that have sales problems. Okay.
Yeah.
I go into businesses with salespeople. And what I'm finding more and more and more is just a complete and utter misunderstanding of what it is to provide your service. And what's evolving now is a whole different pattern of how people want to be, want to have services and products offered to them. Okay.
Yeah.
So I would encourage everybody to kind of throw out those traditional views and move. Listen, if you don't like to be in front of people and you don't want to sell, cool. Focus on your sales process and you don't need to.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So again, if you are one of those people that, you can't see yourself now or into the future hiring salespeople and all the stress, good. So pick your side. Okay. Pick what you're going to focus on here. Should your focus be on becoming a better closer? No, you have anxiety towards it. You'll never be confident enough to really do it if that's truly the problem. Okay. Now, throw that idea out the door. Get really good at explaining your offer, finding the people you do best business with, understanding their problems. Okay. So that everyone that comes in feels warm to you. And now you can just do what you already do. So how are you going to get there? How do you do that and scale and have predictability? Like I've said, you align with the right people. Companies like ours can build your sales process for you.
Right.
We can come in and just lay it down. Don't get into the weeds. Don't try and reinvent the wheel. It's already been done many times. Okay. Let the sales process do the persuading and the educating, and be great at offering your service. Be great at delivering your service.
Yeah.
Don't dwell on something that is beyond you, because listen, at the end of the day, I see it every day, day in, day out. I come across people that are amazing operators. Okay. They know how to operate a business at such a efficient level. And guess what their problem is? They can't sell. They can't market. And they let that hold them back. And the unfortunate side is most of that stuff can be corrected with a sales process that gives them enough of an edge where now the operations of their company can shine, and the sales. And it's like we've delivered life to them. Okay. Then I see the other side where we've got guys that can sell anything to anybody, quickly, but they can't operate a business. It's never the two of them together. They cannot, they've got no operations. Everything's a disaster and unorganized. So really where you want to think of, and I'm talking about guys that are in startup into even into where they're thinking of scaling. I've said this and I won't recant on it. We have to always have the mindset of a sales and marketing company, but that doesn't mean you have to be a sales person or have that view. No, you need to really focus on how you treat that customer, the interactions, the touch points, the conversations that you do have, and you can systemize that. Okay. Don't feel like you have to have these, crazy skills. And if you don't, I promise you, if you do the first part, okay, and just this, and I'm going to give this simple game plan here. Okay. You're going to get a CRM. You're going to follow up with every single customer. All right. Every single one. You're going to automate it when you've got the messaging right, when you've got the text right, when you got the emails right. You're going to automate that so you don't have to do that anymore. Okay. You're going to pick a lane. You're going to pick what business, who you serve. Okay. If you could do those things, that will take most companies, just that alone. Okay. In that exact order, that'll take most companies from $1 million to $3 million without a struggle, without a salesperson. Okay. And again, call me out on it. I dare you to. All right. I've seen it over and over again. I've done it myself. It's only when you climb above that, like once it starts to get to a point where you have to sell premium. All right. And I hope every contractor here, or in B2B cases, there's a little bit of different, aspect to it. But I'm talking more for my guys out there delivering B2C business. All right. From $1 million to $3 million, you can get by with no sales team at all. A good estimator, if that's you, like I've personally ran jobs, sold job, did all of them and got to 4 million just with myself. Okay. Nobody else. Okay. But I had a great process because there's no way I could catch all the things, but only when you're thinking of going from that 3 million up, Now we have to get really smart about sales. This is where we're going to bring professionals in that you're going to pay good money to. That's going to be their entire job and world. And that's where we get into, again, very higher level processes where you do have what I would call a traditional closer. Okay. And again, the reason why you're going to have that from the $3 to $8 million range. And again, it doesn't mean you can't have them at the lower ranges, but this is where the impact of that person becomes very measurable and has massive results. Because without somebody that is fully committed to, moving people from no to yes, okay, a lot can be lost, especially charging higher prices, because you will need to scale. Okay.
Right.
That's where the mix up comes. And that's where the confusion comes. And a lot of times is contractors still feel like they're on the tools and, oh, that's too expensive and I can't afford that. And like at a certain point, you have to bring in executives. Okay. And a salesperson is an executive in your business. And I will tell you the truth. Okay. I paid sales reps more than I made a lot of years. All right. A lot of years, my salespeople made more money than the company made or I made.
Right.
And it was like
appropriate.
Right. And but that's the price you're going to pay. Don't be turned away from that, because what it's doing is it's growing your company in exchange. Right. When you start to combine all of these things and you're getting the higher premiums, that's when you start to see the higher profits. But that's a growing curve, and that's a growth phase that you have to take on personally. Right. So again, if you want to go from that $3 to $8 million range, be prepared to be very committed to the sales and sales process, because at that point, your business just will not grow any further than your skills that are built.
I can tell you, I mean, I think from both of our experiences, I mean, I'm thinking of my own. Like, I know that a lot of people would have a problem with what you just said. Like, I'm not paying somebody else.
Absolutely. And again, let's go and look at the people that are the position you're in. I'm going to tell you, if you are saying those words still, you're struggling 1 to 3 million. Okay.
Right.
Anybody that's been above that line is going to be like, hell yeah. And they'll know, because it's an absolute fact.
Well, I think too, Jay, to your point, because it's kind of like this, to maybe help. So, for the folks out there that are, maybe they've broken above 3 or 4 or 5 on their way to 10, or maybe even more, and maybe they still struggle with that. It's, like, how could I pay someone more than I pay myself? I took the risk and all that. And, I took the risk, because, when you start a company, as like, there's so much, it takes so much lifeblood and so much energy and so much cash, and there's so much sacrifice, so I think that's where guys, and ladies get kind of tripped up, because like, well, I took all the risk. Why would I pay someone else more? And I think here's where
accountability.
Well, I'm going to go a different direction. So it's kind of like this, like, if you have like a little quad or like a little dirt bike out in the garage, and you run that around, on a weekend, maintenance is very simple, right? You need to keep some oil in the garage, and maybe, a couple different kinds of fluids, and keep it fueled up. And just, if you run it every month or month and a half, that thing's going to go forever, right? If you have an 18-wheeler out in the garage, right? And you take it out for a weekend and you do that consistently, maintenance cost is going to be substantially more, right? You're not gonna maintain an 18-wheeler, a big truck with a couple quarts of oil, right? You're gonna have, first of all, a professional that's gonna look at it on a regular basis with scheduled maintenance, right? And it's gonna be many aspects, right? You're gonna have tires, and you're gonna have all these, there's tons of pressure lines with those things. I mean, that is a complex machine that requires ongoing maintenance and substantial out of pocket, right? Now, the difference is that with a little dirt bike, you get a little bit of enjoyment, but you're not moving anything, right? You're moving one around, and you're not going very far because it can't handle a big load. With an 18-wheeler, you can literally move millions of dollars worth of goods and, you know, merchandise and move them very long distances. So the utility of a dirt bike versus an 18-wheeler is, it's not even comparable.
Well,
I think it's the same thing for, like, if you've got someone like that on your team, or you want someone like that on your team, you got to think like, this is an 18-wheeler, not a dirt bike.
And it's output, right? So again, I think where guys get really screwed up is, first of all, they doubt themselves and doubt their process. The first thing to fail when trying to go from that 3 million to 8 million is you're going to be your systems. Okay, everybody that's done it or is doing it has gone through that phase in business, right? It's a crisis. You have a crisis where everything, and again, it's predictable. You have to go through it. No one is immune from it. Okay. And the crisis happens when you have all of these question marks, and our first instinct is to do what? Oh, we want to control. You know, you're wearing all these hats, you're doing all these things. The sales hat is the first hat. If you're not a salesperson, if you don't identify yourself as a closer at that point, that you aren't consistently closing deals, you know, negotiating big deals, you know, closing, if you're not strong there, or you feel like it could be better, or you don't enjoy it, okay, that's your indicator. Because somebody who does, and somebody who's very skilled at it, is going to get you better. And if you don't replace that role, okay, like it's just numbers, okay? At the end of the day, if somebody comes in that can close at 40 to 45% predictably at a higher price, and you can only close at 20%, what does that mean to the growth of your business? It means you won't get to the number you want to, okay? The other part of this is true accountability only comes to people you're going to pay. Like if you want to pay peanuts, you're going to get monkeys. All right. So the ability to really understand that principle is like, who are you going to get that's going to be responsible, and that you can hold them 100% accountable, that's going to own this process. All right. And that, again, if they don't perform, you can, you know, there's no harm, no foul. Like, you're moving on to someone else. Like it's one of those roles where, again, if I went back and I wanted to shave off 5 years of pain and torture and torment, I would have immediately hired out for it, because, hey, I'm very good at sales. I'm very good at closing, but it's not my passion. It's not what I enjoy doing. I'm an operator. I like operating businesses. I like fixing things. I like solving problems. My honest, you know, the honest thing, although I've learned through pain and suffering of not being able to do that, and, you know, pure grit of learning the skill. All right. I would not identify, nor will I, you know, do I appreciate doing sales in my own business. Okay. Doesn't mean I can't. Doesn't mean I don't understand the process. Doesn't mean none of that. It means that, you know, if I had gone back in time, the first thing I would have done and got off my plate was sales. What ends up happening is owners do the opposite. They try to hang on to all of these things. They hit that million, you know, million above range. And the thing that they're hanging on to is probably the thing that they're the weakest at. And even though they're closing deals, the problem, and I hear it every day, and everyone, like, let's pull the scab off here. Okay. They can't get the prices they want. You see, the problem there is that you have to become a real closer when you're asking someone to pay double to what the next guy brought in. How do you explain that? How do you deal with the objection of that? You don't. So what do? They lower their price and they order take. That's not sales. That's not selling. That's not leading. That's nothing. Okay. That's actually putting yourself back in the Stone Age and keeping yourself stuck on the hamster wheel. When you want to make that move, now you can get away with that. Again, like I'm saying, guys, you can get away with that up to about 3 million if you're doing a B2C. You know, B2B, like, that's a totally different animal. But when you want to get serious about your business, okay, you're going to have to get serious about the price you charge. And I guarantee you're going to find you're going to be price shocked by how much you need to charge. Right. How do you deal with somebody now? And is now all of a sudden, do you think you're that good? You're going to find out right away that, hey, you know what? This is a skill. This is a trade on its own. And if you want top performance, you can't afford not to hire a closer. You can't afford not to.
Yeah.
Right.
I think the thing too, Jay, is that, like, you know, one of the things that I would say have learned, and probably am still learning, is, you know, because, like, for people like us that are, you know, high competency, you know, producers, high, you know, get results, it's hard to in my experience, and maybe I'm speak for myself here. You go through this, you go through this thing where you're like, how am I going to find someone who's going to do it like me? The answer is you will not. They're not going to do it like you,
They're going
and
to do
that's
better than you.
okay. Well, I was going to say, here's what I was going to say. So I had this experience of, I thought, no one's going to do it better than me. And then I resigned myself to, okay, they're not going to do it better than me, but if they do it like half as good or 2/3 as good, I'm okay with that.
Mhm.
And then what I found was that they did it better than me.
Well, and it's just
And I
logic.
was like, oh,
So
okay.
again, we're really
so I'm the
speaking.
a-hole.
Yeah,
Like,
we're
whoops.
really speaking like a lot of ego and attachments. And again, here's, this might come off and sound weird to certain people. Okay. And these are usually, again, I'm going to say we're all in different phases of our business. Okay. I've had the privilege of being all the way through most of the phases, almost, approaching the sell phase of my business. And here's one thing that I've really embodied and understood. I mean, at the end of the day, the more attachment you have to your business, the less likely it's ever going to be a business.
Yeah,
okay. The emotional attachments you have, and a lot of what's holding you back is those attachments. Okay. So again, I've learned this, there was a good portion of my life, and oddly enough, the years I really struggled, the ones that where things went really bad for me, I struggled with the attachments that I had. Oh, only I can do this. Only I can. And all that is your insecurity underneath that, because you don't know. All right? It's because you want to stay in control. You don't want to lose what you've built. And it's and you're looking over the edge of a wall, and you have to bring somebody in. And what do I find? Most guys, they didn't start with a plan. They didn't talk to somebody who's already done what they've wanted to do. They didn't have any structure. They brought somebody in and set them up for failure by micromanaging them. All right. And they never set the expectations of what needs to happen. And those, I feel, are such easy mistakes to avoid, especially nowadays with all the information and all the stuff. Find your context, find the person that's done what you want to do, right? Ask them. Work with them, again, pay them, do what you want. If you think for 1 second that you won't pay one way or the other to get from point A to point B, you are sadly mistaken. And the investment doesn't stop again. But the rewards for breaking those price points is your freedom. Again, guys, you're going to be trapped in a business. I'm going to say anything that's up to $1 million, you're definitely like, you're trapped. Like, there's not a whole lot, very few businesses that have given me an example of like making a ton. Up to the $1 million point. So I'm talking about guys at 550. Like you might make 100 or 200,000, but you're not going to make real sustainable like wealth.
Well, yeah, and are they paying themselves, or is
there's a lot of things. And again, it's just numbers. At the end of the day, I know what you would have to charge, and there's no way that you're going out there charging 10 times what the next guy's charging, right? It's just it's economies of scale. Your freedom really comes back to you when you break through that $3 million mark. All right. And again, I'm talking strictly B2C. So guys that are doing B2B, I could have this conversation in commercial and all that. Like there's definitely a different, different numbers and some, niche things I've seen guys do very well and be really happy. The first thing they know though is what do they need to be happy? If you're satisfied making $100,000, $200,000, perfect. Stay in that lane. Don't grow. Don't build. You should be looking at just holding in place, offering great service, and getting it back as much time as you can. But for guys that are on the push from 3 to 8 and above, this is where again you have to get very intentional, right? You have to get very clear, and you have to have departments that are going to manage things, silos, that are going to be 100% accountable. And again, this is where the investment part comes in. And it's not that, again, you're gonna put your bets on bad ponies. That's going to happen. You know how many salespeople I've hired and that it didn't work out. All right. But it's still well worth it at the end of the day for the ones that did. Okay. And the reason why is because all that time back, all of that, again, when you have a good sales team, all right, and you have like all of, you could be the best trades guy out there in the world. If you don't have any customers, what are you?
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Right. So you got to look at it that way. And again, if you are looking for that legacy, that you want to leave with a business that's, that 3 to 8 and really established, again, start focusing on sales process and sales teams. That's what you're going to need to make that jump. That's what you're going to need to make that big move. And for guys that are there that are struggling, again, you're going to come back to those processes first. We are seeing like what worked 2 years ago doesn't work anymore. Okay. You need to be getting, insight and development of that team. If the only place like I could get by with my operations, my operations is damn near the same as it's been for the last 10 years. Okay. We do job costing the same. We do all of the critical functions relatively the same with a couple of upgrades. But, when it comes to sales process, that's where we spend a lot of time, making sure we're not missing opportunities, making sure that we're improving, making sure that, with new strategies and new tactics, that's where a lot of the development stuff comes from. Right. Again, we'll give you a good example. Sumo Quote coming out a couple of years ago, like, bringing that into our business was a big change, but gave us such an advantage, right? We gained from that. We are geeks for CRMs. As you know, that's what Contractor AI offers as a part of our accelerator program, is that we build these sales processes for you guys. We just put them in place so that you can start off right off the bat with them in the business. And again, these things grow with you, right? They develop. We're seeing a whole bunch of new technology that's coming in that's, helping both marketing and sales. And this is where I'm going to say in the next 2 to 5 years, we're going to see the biggest advantages come from, right? The guys that can market and sell, all right, as well as unfortunately manage a business, okay, are going to be the ones that really dominate the markets, and we're already seeing it. We're already, the gone are the days of the guy that's, technology free, out there writing quotes with the sales team. Those are very quickly coming to an end.
When you said that, Jay, or you reminded me that one of the things that you coached me on was, and that I took from you was, in the last 2 years running the masonry business, I got away from just doing quotes and built a template that where and I would tell, like, because granted, I was also doing me personally, like my average job size was like 280,000, so I was running substantial larger work, but so it was mostly commercial, but I stopped doing just quotes and started building projects. And so like that shift, just that little shift in our process was huge in like setting and like winning even more bigger projects and coming in, even though we were a niche trade in masonry restoration, I would come in like a GC and have like every little thing handled. And I got that from you, right? I learned that from you because I was like, oh, why am I just giving? I mean, we have to do this stuff anyway. Let's put it on. Let's show them what we're doing, like staging and all those little details that, trades don't typically do because that's what the general does.
Right.
And so that's what I think, just to put some like meat on that bone or that thing that you were kind of building, like that was such a big thing. And even now, like I've been gone almost a year, and a lot of the projects that I bid, they got, right. That I've used that process. Right. And some big ones, like there were some like high 6-figure jobs.
Right. Well, it's,
and I've driven past the equipment, like, oh, it's great. They got that job. So, I mean, so I think, so I was going to say, so it's like, so people don't get an overwhelm. Like there's lots of ways to do this, right? To like, okay, so what do I do next? I mean, one of the things I was going to point out is you did, I always remind everybody that you do free trainings on Thursdays. Well, yesterday you did like a little bit of a twist on that, which I loved. And, where you took one of our customers and you just like went live with him and showed like everybody how to like go and get 100,000 in sales just in jobs he's already bid, right? And like stuff that's just hanging around in his pipeline. And so like what, I mean, so that's, I mean, I think that's great.
And we're going to do more of that stuff, because I think, again, like for anyone that's listening to us, we're not gurus. Okay. I'm never going to be a guru.
Right.
I'm not looking to, be an influencer, because if you listen to a lot of the stuff that's going around, great information, no context.
Right.
Okay. I think here at Contractor AI, it's more important to me to actually show you the real context behind what we're saying, and walking the walk. Like, listen, like I said, how often do you hear, Adrian, like great information, but being suggested to a company that's nowhere near requiring that information, it's just as damaging. Like, like I'm trying to be as clear as I can. There's a big difference between what a $1 to $3 million company needs to do and what a company 3 to 8 needs to do. And you can have some overlap, but the right information at the wrong time is just as damaging as anything else. So, we're going to go out of our way now to really show the context around, like we're doing, like, our company, my company, sorry, is actually doing this stuff. Right. And I think, again, I feel like the audience is going to come back to more of let's follow the people that have got actual proof that they can make things happen. And yesterday was a good example of it. Like, here's a contractor that's well established, been in business for a very long time, missing one piece that's holding him back, and we can solve that for him in a couple of Facebook Live sessions and fix it entirely. In fact, he's overwhelmed today with messages. So, I mean, it's a good problem to have.
Yeah. And so just really quickly, because everyone watching right now is like, or on the replay is like, what the hell is he talking about? So what Jay did is Jay went live with one of our customers, and who has a great electrician business, and essentially went into his contact manager, customer, CRM, and found like customers that maybe hadn't been followed up with, or
$4 million worth of,
and $4 million in bids that, that needed to be followed up with, that maybe hadn't heard from somebody in a while. And like just essentially put together very simple emails and sent those out, and did it like live, like, which is, credit to you, Jay. That's like, that takes a lot of balls to like get on live and be like, I'm going to get you $100,000 in new sales. So, but I mean, but I love that, because that's where we all live. I mean, you're not really like, if you haven't lost a huge contract or like missed out on something big, you aren't in business. You haven't done any business, right?
You have
like, if you haven't lost big, you haven't done it yet,
right?
So, so like we should. I mean, I think we should be doing a lot more of that. I love.
We're going to. So, I mean, again, that was, and I much rather, I've yet to ever seen that kind of stuff being done on other channels and other resources for information. And I think there's a good reason why, is that the people that are delivering that are generally very good at content, but they're giving just the same well-known information out to people and throwing it at them like they're supposed to be able to put the context to it. And that's the problem, is like, here's the steps, here's what you have to do, here's the result. And it allows people to get over that edge, over that point of they've never done it before. Right. They haven't experienced it. So, what's coming through on my end is that, it's much easier to go in and show somebody, do it with them, right? Get them to experience it. And now it becomes a habit of theirs. Why? Because they're winning from it. And there's so much low lying fruit that we're blind to. It's a good saying. You can't see the forest for the trees. If you've been working in your business for a long period of time with not a lot of change, it's so hard. And for me too, like, listen, I've got coaches. I get coached. Right? I'm a student first. And the reason why is, again, when you're in it, it's so hard to see the easy things that are just passing you by. They go right over your head, right? It's one of those things.
Yeah. And I was just going to say, just again, real quick to clarify that. So, so the tactic, if you will, that you used was what's called the 9-word email, which is literally, which my version of that, which I got from Chet Holmes, which I love and still use, is, like, if you want to get a response, and this is free, anyone who wants to use this, I use this in text message and in emails, and I would just put in the subject line if it was an email, or obviously if it was a text, just send it as a text. Hey, have you given up on this project?
Right.
And which is a version of the 9-word email. It's just like one sentence, and you think, well, that's kind of dumb. Oh no, it's not dumb. Like
it's the most efficient follow-up process there
literally is. And I remember being on a calls on some calls last year doing pipeline reviews with some of our people, and one of my people was like, he's like, does that really work? And I was like, yeah, it works. So he's like, hang on a second. So he got out his phone and he sent a text off to someone that wasn't responding to us.
I use it with my kids. What do you mean?
Got the contract. like literally called. I mean, got a response like within 30 seconds. Yep. So my point in bringing that up is that like it wasn't some complicated thing, some voodoo that you put together, Jay. It was like 9-word emails that were like as basic, like that literally like a child can write. Right? I mean, and very basic, very simple. And you went into their existing contact manager CRM, where their customer database, and just looked at stuff that hadn't, people that hadn't, been communicated with in a while. That's it. No witchcraft, no voodoo, no fancy stuff. No,
just good old fashioned follow up. That's all it is.
just following up.
That's right.
All right. So final thoughts. I think, to kind of like put a pin in this, I think we both agree. I mean, there certainly is a place for closers and those that, and by the way, just quick aside, if you have someone like that, right? If you're listening to this and you have someone like that, having a better system process is going to make that person that much more deadly, right? So because they're not going to, a natural closer is not going to naturally be organized, right? That those two things don't go together. So when you have a better system for someone like that, they're going to perform even better, and they're going to make more money, which they're going to be more motivated, and you're going to, create this sort of flywheel.
There is no downsides.
Yeah, there's no downside. So it's like, even so, I mean, we're talking to folks that are the most of the population, which aren't closers like me, but like, if you have someone like that and you have a system like, and you, I mean a system like just a very simple way of like lather, rinse, repeat of doing these things, following up, buddy, watch out. So, we are, so to kind of wrap it up for this week. So as far as, we're going to be doing more of these. So Jay, are you going to do that again this Thursday?
Yep.
Like something like that. Okay.
We're going to be going live. Absolutely.
Okay. So Jay's going to be going live Thursday. It was 3, right? 3 o'clock.
Yep.
3 o'clock. So the free training he was doing, we're just kind of flipping that. And I mean, it's still free training, but now we're just going to like do it live, with folks that want to do it with us. Right. I mean, but you're doing with the electric company right now, right? Or with the electric contractor. Okay. So, we're doing that. We are every Friday at 3 o'clock Eastern time. Jay and I are live, bringing as much value as we possibly can. I go live every Monday at noon. And now it's not just in our private community, but I'm also out on I'm out on our different channels and stuff like that. So you can check that out. And I was just going to say, Jay, so I know we're working toward, I know we're putting something together to, because we've had a lot of people ask about, like a lot of different things. Some people need operational stuff. Some people need help with how are they pricing their jobs and tracking profitability, and others are like hiring, others are like marketing. So I know we're putting some things together to kind of wrap that up and have a
we have an offer for this.
Our accelerator. So
so anybody out there that wants to take their business to the next level of wherever you're at, this is as simple as I can make it. We're going to build you a custom game plan. We're going to give you the systems that go with that game plan. All right. We're very good at doing it for wherever you are in your business. We're going to give you a custom 90-day plan. All right. And we're going to help you implement that plan over 90 days. And this is what we call our Contractor AI Accelerator program. All right. It's systems based, it's consultant based. So again, we're not going to teach you theoretical, principles of being a contractor. This is a, 90-day
It's like
intense,
execution.
grow your
You're
business.
getting into it. Yeah.
Again, a lot of it is just systemizing aspects of your business, whether it's production, whether it's sales, whether it's marketing, getting a process in place that you can then depend on to make the step to the next level in your business. So again, anyone interested in that, just give us a shout. We'd love to walk you through it, how it works. We've had a number of really successful case studies from it that is exciting to share. And again, it's, we've really designed this to deliver real results, right? Without the stress of, trying to figure it out on your own, or be giving the wrong information or context to make those changes in your business. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah, I think it's something we need to definitely be talking about a lot more. Sure. And again, so it's, along the lines of, again, just think about like how many people are just like, how many jobs we've bid, how many estimates are sitting out there. The job may not even be, may not have even been, they may not have signed a contract, right? So there's stuff like just hanging around. So we're going to talk more about that. So again, I would encourage everyone to check Jay's free training, which is now a live stream out on Thursdays at 3:00. Because again, I actually, I watched the whole thing yesterday. I got a notification. I was driving to and from somewhere. I put that thing on, had my buds in, and I listened to / watched the whole thing. I loved it. And I'm, I'm on the inside here and I loved it. It was great. I was like, this is awesome, man. I just, because you don't talk about every little thing. So I didn't, I was like, oh, we're doing that. That's great. So, and I texted you after. I was like, dude, this is awesome. I loved it. Like, because it's like, it's a contractor, like, just like you, just like me, that, has what every contractor challenges everyone has, right? I was guilty of that. There's stuff I didn't follow up on that I should have, in contracts that went to somebody else. So anyway, we're going to be doing more of that. I love it. And bringing, we've got some really cool solutions. So if you want to talk about that and how you can find $100,000, and you're, laying around your business, we can have that conversation. So everybody, thanks for being with us. And we'll see you again next week.